Hello. So, since we're talking about the TOEFL speaking being weird, I might as well have a weird introduction. And today we're going to talk about why big words will hurt you. So this is the fourth video in our TOEFL speaking section is weird video collection. And today I want to talk to you about big words. So a lot of students, a lot of you, think that you don't have enough vocabulary for the TOEFL or for English in general, and so you study vocabulary. Now, I think a lot of you are right that there is a huge vocabulary gap between what an English language learner knows and what a native speaker knows. But for the TOEFL speaking, big words will hurt you. Do not try to use big words for the TOEFL speaking, okay? Let me explain why. And I'm going to tell you, for this video, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't use big words. I'm going to tell you what words you should use instead that you can use for almost any speaking response. And I'm also going to tell you how to make sure that you sound more like a native speaker. Okay, so let me do that. Big words will hurt you. So I wanted to just give you an example. Let's say that you learn the word accumulate. Okay, you learn the word accumulate. And I usually hear it with weather forecasters talking about snow. Okay? Beautiful picture, as always. So they say that snow accumulates. Now, if you look at your dictionary, it says accumulate means to get, to gather, to collect, to get bigger and bigger. Now, you might see that word, you might know the definition, and you know how to use it. So then you try to use it. On the TOEFL, they ask you, do you prefer to work in a group or work as an individual? You say, I prefer to work in a group because that way we can accumulate our knowledge and bring it together to make our projects better. So that's just an example. So for this accumulate, it doesn't sound natural. Okay, when you say, I think it's better to work in a group so we can accumulate our knowledge, we don't usually use the word that way. So there's two reasons why it doesn't sound like natural English. One reason is because you're an English as a second language speaker. So because of that, you have some simple grammar mistakes, some certain fluency problems, and it sounds strange, first of all, for you to use a big word while making simple mistakes. And it also sounds strange, more importantly, because we don't speak that way. We don't talk with big words. Americans don't like big words, okay? We don't like big words. Maybe some of us do, but for the most part, Americans value directness. They value clarity. Remember, the TOEFL is a test to see if you can go to a school in the States. So we value directness. When we're speaking, if you want to sound natural, you don't use big vocabulary words. You sound simple and straight. Okay? One reason, for example, that in English we have a lot of phrasal verbs. We have a lot of phrasal verbs because they're more conversational. Like, I don't say I exited the building. I say I got out of the building, right? I don't say that I terminated the contract. I say I ended the contract. Let me use a phrasal verb there. Or I say that I finished up the contract, something like that. So in that situation, we take these kind of difficult academic vocabulary that's useful for the reading section, but not for the speaking section, and we replace it with something more natural. So one way that you can sound more natural is to use simple vocabulary, phrasal verbs, things that fluency, that native speakers will use usually, okay? Now, I want to get to what you can use for almost, phrases that you can use for almost any response, okay? In a lot of your responses, you are going to give your opinion, you give an example to illustrate your opinion, and then a conclusion. So you're going to have these three things in a lot of your responses. And every time you can say the same type of transition words to sound more natural. Sometimes teachers will teach you something that's a little difficult. For example, with this example, they use as an illustration. You might see that in some textbooks. Some people might recommend it to you. Don't use it. When you say, as an illustration, when I was 5 years old, blah, blah, blah. For example, when I was 5 years old, sounds better. I remember when I was 5 years old. Even better, okay? This does not sound natural. We do not speak this way, okay? So try not to sound smart. Don't try to sound smart. Instead, try to sound like you're fluent and you want to communicate, okay? You want to sound natural. If you're giving your opinion, in my opinion, blah, blah, blah. Let's say high school students should wear school uniforms. In my opinion, I think high school students should wear school uniforms. Let's sound even more natural. I think high school students should wear school uniforms. Let's sound even more natural. To me, high school students should wear school uniforms. Much better, okay? So stay away from these like formulaic transitions. Conclusion. These are the reasons why I think students should wear school uniforms. How about that's why I think students should wear school uniforms? Good. So I think students should wear school uniforms. Even better, okay? So that's it pretty much. You want to make sure that you sound fluent, okay? That you sound like a native speaker. So there's one other thing that you need to do that's very important, is that you need to have somebody tell you if you're sounding a little bit like a robot. Sometimes you start using templates for the TOEFL, or you're not sure how you sound to other people, right? You might hear a recording of yourself. You should definitely record your voice. You might ask your friend how you sound, but what you really need is a professional to tell you how to sound more fluent. And that's what we do at TOEFLSpeakingTeacher.com. We do we do a lot of stuff, but one thing that we do is a speaking evaluation. You get on a 30-minute Skype call with a TOEFL speaking expert. They give you some TOEFL speaking questions, and they tell you exactly how you sound and let you know what you need to do, what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, how natural you sound speaking English, and tell you how to improve, okay? So, check that out. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.